Welcome to 2026. Your rent went up 12%. Your grocery bill is unrecognizable. And somewhere on the internet, a guy in a Tesla is telling you that you need to save 6 months of expenses for emergencies. Meanwhile, you're eating ramen, trying to figure out how to cover next month, let alone 6 months. And here I am, your regular, tired, blue-collar buddy with a mortgage that somehow got worse, wondering if anyone else noticed that the emergency fund everyone keeps preaching about is actually the same trap that's been keeping us broke our whole lives. Let me tell you something. I've been broke, really broke. The kind of broke where you're checking the couch cushions at 2 a.m. because you forgot about a water bill. And during all that time, every single time, someone was telling me I needed an emergency fund. Save 3 months of expenses, Mr. Bill, then 6, then a year. You know what happened every time I tried? Life happened, the car broke, the roof leaked. And suddenly, that precious emergency fund that took 6 months to save was gone in 6 days. And then I was back to zero, listening to the same advice, feeling like I failed. Here's the trap. The emergency fund isn't a financial strategy. It's a psychological trap designed to make you feel guilty for being poor while you're actually getting poorer. Let me break this down the way I've learned it, through pain, stupidity, and finally a moment of clarity. The trap, the emergency fund lie. Here's what they don't tell you. The emergency fund strategy was invented by personal finance gurus who have money, lots of it. They built this framework, 3 months, 6 months, 1 year of expenses based on their life, their job security, their salary, their ability to absorb a hit. But for the rest of us, for the guy working freelance, the woman picking up gigs, the person whose industry is basically on thin ice every single day, the emergency fund is a lie with good intentions. Here's why. If you're living paycheck to paycheck, you don't have emergencies the way rich people do. Rich people have emergencies like, oh no, I need a new transmission for the Tesla. That's an inconvenience. For them, the emergency fund covers it, no problem. For you, an emergency is your car breaking down and you not being able to get to work, which means you don't get paid, which means your rent is late, which means you're in debt, which means you're working 2 jobs to get out, which means you don't have time to build that emergency fund, which means the next emergency destroys you again. It's a cycle. And the thing is, the financial advisors know this. Deep down, they know. But they keep pushing the emergency fund because it feels like advice. It sounds smart. It's a number you can measure yourself against. How many months of expenses do you have saved? It's the question that lets people shame themselves into feeling like they're doing something. But here's the real trap. While you're busting your ass trying to save 6 months of expenses that you'll never actually get to, you're not building any actual financial resilience. You're not increasing your income. You're not learning how to negotiate. You're not building skills that make you less vulnerable. You're just saving, slowly, while inflation eats your savings, while the economy shifts beneath your feet, while your actual vulnerability stays exactly the same. It's like being on a sinking boat and someone tells you to bail water with a teaspoon while they refuse to talk about fixing the hole. Emergency mode, stop the bleeding. Okay, let's say you're here right now. You're living paycheck to paycheck. You don't have an emergency fund. You probably have credit card debt. Maybe you're looking at me right now thinking, Mr. Bill, I need a safety net yesterday. Here's what you actually do right now, not someday, now. First, stop the idea that you need to save 3 to 6 months of expenses. That's not happening, let's be real. Instead, you're going to think in smaller, achievable units. The goal isn't 6 months. The goal is the next emergency doesn't destroy you completely. Second, you need what I call the break glass funds, not one fund, multiple small funds, each one designed for a specific type of disaster. Here's why this matters. It's also more honest about how life actually works. Here's the breakdown. The $500 catastrophe fund. This covers your immediate, most likely disaster. Car won't start, $300 part plus labor. Your phone dies, $150. Plumbing backs up, $400. This isn't comfortable. This isn't safe. This is stop the bleeding immediately. And the magic number is $500 because, and I'm going to hammer this, most people's actual emergencies fall in this range. They don't want to hear that. They want to hear 6 months. But I'm not here to make you feel better. I'm here to tell you the truth. The work buffer. This is different. This is 1 month of essential expenses, just the stuff you need. Not Netflix, not the coffee shop, rent, food, utilities, insurance. That number might be $100 and $200, might be $2,000. Whatever it is, that's your target. 1 month. Why? Because if you lose your income source, a gig dries up, freelance work stops, hours get cut. You have 1 month to figure out the next play, not 6 months. 1. That's realistic. The Tools Skills Fund, this is the one nobody talks about. $200, $300, $500. This is money you keep available specifically to invest in making yourself more valuable. A certification course, new equipment for your side hustle, a class that teaches you a skill that could turn into income. This is your escape velocity fund. This is the money that actually changes your situation. Here's the thing about these 3 buckets. You're not trying to fill them all at once. You start with the $500, you get that, then you start building the work buffer. Then, if you have breathing room, actual breathing room, not pretend breathing room, you build the tools fund. And here's the psychological shift. You're not failing if you use these. You're using them as designed. You hit the $500 fund? Okay. Now your next priority is getting it back to $500. It's not a moral failure, it's maintenance. Brain hacks. The psychology of not giving up. Here's the brutal truth about money advice. Most of it fails not because the math is wrong, but because the psychology is unbearable. You're supposed to sit here, broke, and watch money accumulate in an account while the world burns around you. That's not a strategy. That's torture. So let me give you the actual psychological hacks that make this workable. Hack 1, the deposit, don't save mindset. The word savings is depressing. It sounds like denial. It sounds like you're preparing for disaster. Instead, reframe it. You're making deposits into your future self's business account. You're funding operations. You're not being virtuous. You're being practical. That psychological shift is everything. When you save $50, it feels like you're losing $50. When you deposit $50 into your future self's emergency operations account, it feels like you're building something. Same $50, different brain response. Hack 2, the reverse temptation system. Every time you're about to spend money on something you don't actually need, a meal out, a new shirt, whatever, you flip it. You say, okay, I'm not buying this. Instead, I'm putting half the money I would have spent into my break glass fund, and I'm taking the other half and doing something I actually want to do with it. This does 2 things. It makes you feel like you're not depriving yourself because you're not. You're still getting something, and it builds your fund without it feeling punitive. Hack 3, the public accountability trap. This one's weird, but it works. Tell someone you trust one person about your break glass fund goal. Not because they'll shame you, but because you'll feel weird mentioning you haven't built it. It's social pressure, but in a useful direction. Every time you see that person, even if they don't ask, you'll think about that fund. Your brain will feel motivated to give a good report. Hack 4, the 1-week rule. Before you spend money on anything that isn't essential, you wait 1 week. Not because you're being disciplined, but because most of the time, after 1 week, you don't actually care anymore. That impulse to buy something new, it's usually just boredom or emotion. Give it a week. If you still want it, really want it, okay, but most of the time, you'll have forgotten about it, and you'll be shocked that you almost spent money on it. The psychology here is you're not fighting your impulses, you're just creating a delay that lets them expire naturally. Math rules the numbers that actually matter. Okay, here's where I'm going to give you some napkin math that actually works in 2026. The $500 rule, most emergencies that destroy people cost between $200 and $800. Yes, some cost more, but the majority fall here. If you have $500, you can handle most disasters without going into debt. That's the threshold. $500, get there. That's phase 1. The 3-to-1 rule, for every $1 you're trying to save, you should be looking for $3 in places you can increase your income or reduce your actual, not imaginary, expenses. Don't save your way out of this. Earn your way out. The math works better that way. If you can pick up a $200 gig, that's better than cutting back for a month. It's faster. It feels better. It builds your income-generating capacity. The 1-hour rule. You should know with reasonable accuracy how much money you make in 1 hour of work. Let's say it's $25. When you're looking at an emergency fund goal, translate it to hours, not months. Instead of thinking, I need to save 6 months of expenses, think, I need to earn an extra 72 hours of work at my current rate. That might mean 6 months of freelance gigs, or it might mean a concentrated push over 3 months. But the mental math is different. It's work, not deprivation. The 10% rule? Of any money that comes in above your basic survival needs, 10% goes to your break glass fund. Not 30%. Not 50%. 10%. This is the number that actually works because it's not going to break your life while you're building it. And here's the magic. 10% is enough. If you're making $2,000 a month and $1,500 goes to survival, you can put $50 into your fund. That's $600 a year. You hit your $500 goal in less than a year. You hit your 1-month work buffer in 2 years. That's not fast, but it's real. The real resilience, what actually protects you. Here's what nobody wants to hear. An emergency fund doesn't actually protect you. It delays disaster. There's a difference. What actually protects you is income flexibility. It's the ability to make money in multiple ways. It's skills that are valuable. It's a network of people who can help. It's the ability to say no to bad situations because you have options. Let me be specific. A freelancer with $5,000 saved and only one income source is more vulnerable than a freelancer with $500 saved and 3 income streams. Why? Because that $5,000 will be gone in an emergency. But those 3 income streams mean the next emergency won't destroy that person. One stream dries up, the others keep flowing. That's actual resilience. A person with perfect credit and no money is more vulnerable than a person with rough credit but a trade skill. Why? Because the person with the skill can always earn. The person with perfect credit is just broke, but with a good score. This is the stuff they don't teach you. This is the stuff that actually matters. So here's what I'd rather see you do with your time and energy instead of obsessing over emergency funds. First, identify 3 ways you could make money, not someday, right now, today. You could probably do freelance work, side gigs, offer a service, pick up extra shifts, sell something, whatever. Identify 3. Learn them, practice them, keep them warm. That's your real emergency plan. Second, learn one skill that makes you more valuable in your field. Take that tools fund and invest in something that actually makes you harder to replace, harder to ignore, more capable of earning. A certification, better equipment, a language, something concrete. Third, build relationships with people in your field, your industry, your community. Not for networking events or BS like that, but actual relationships where people know you, respect your work, and would hire you or help you if something happened. That network is worth more than any emergency fund. Fourth, get the $500, get the 1-month work buffer. But while you're doing that, focus on the other 3 things. Because the emergency fund is a safety net. The other 3 are armor. The exit plan, getting out of the trap. This is where most advice fails. They tell you to build an emergency fund and then nothing. You just live with that forever, right? You save 6 months and then what? You're still broke. You're still vulnerable. You're just broke with money in an account you're terrified to touch. The exit plan is different. It's understanding that the emergency fund is temporary. It's a stepping stone, not a destination. Here's the ladder. Phase 1, 6 months. Build the $500 emergency fund. That's it. That's the only goal. Every dollar above survival goes here. Phase 2, 6 months to 1 year. Build the 1-month work buffer while maintaining the $500. And simultaneously start working on those 3 income streams. Master 1. Build it to where it's consistent. Phase 3, 1-2 years. You've got $500 and 1 month of expenses saved. One of your income streams is solid. Now you start building real savings. Not emergency funds, but actual wealth building. But you're doing it from a position of strength, not panic. Phase 4, 2+ years. If you've done the work, you're not living paycheck to paycheck anymore. You have options. You can make choices about where your energy goes. That's the goal. Here's the thing. Most people never get past phase 1 because nobody tells them phase 1 is enough. They think it's wrong. They think they're failing because they're not following some bullshit 6-month rule that was written for people in completely different circumstances. But phase 1 is enough to change your life. Here's why. Once you have $500 and you know you can access it, your decision-making changes. You don't panic as easily. You can afford to be selective about work. You can say no to bad situations. You can think about tomorrow instead of just today. That's not rich. That's not safe. But it's better, and better compounds. The final move, what you do tomorrow. All right, you've heard the whole thing. You've heard the trap, the emergency mode, the psychology, the math, and the exit plan. So what do you actually do tomorrow? One thing, just one. Figure out your $500 number and your 1-month number. That's it. Write it down. Know it. Then pick one small thing to cut back on, not everything, just one thing, and put that money toward the $500. Don't overcomplicate it. Don't shame yourself. Just move in that direction. Because here's the truth. You don't fail by moving slowly. You fail by not moving at all. And the reason most people don't move is because the goal feels impossible. 6 months of expenses? Forget it. But 500? That's 2 months of deliberate cutting. That's real. That's possible. So start there. Get to $500. That's your win. That's where everything changes. And when you get there, and you will because it's actually achievable, you'll feel something shift. Not because $500 is life-changing money, but because you proved to yourself that you could build something, that you could follow through, that the system is broken, but you're not. That's the real emergency fund. It's not money. It's the knowledge that you can do hard things. Welcome to 2026. You've got this.